Rock and roll.
Okay. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Calling this meeting of the RMLD Board of Commissioners to order. It is November 13th. The meeting's being audio recorded, held remotely on Zoom, and live streamed on RCTV. RMLD Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of hearing public comment at the discretion of the chair on items on the agenda. Once recognized, all persons addressing the board shall state their name and address prior to speaking. It's the role of the chair to maintain order in all public comment. And who's participating remotely? Pam, I think, right? Pam Daskalakis. And okay.
So we call the citizens at the order.
Okay. With that, do we have any board liaison comments? No. No. Select board or other interested parties? No. Okay. How about any public comment tonight? Yeah, we do.
Rebecca, I'm not sure if you can hear us and if you have a comment tonight or not.
Yes, I do have a comment. Give me 30 seconds to
Hardly hear you.
unmute.
Can we just?
Oh, hang on. I'll make it louder. 1 second.
Thank you.
Can we turn the volume up?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, much better.
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I'm going to stay on muted audio, video. I mean, if that's all right with you, because my connection might be too slow that way. So
Okay,
thank you for the opportunity.
Name and address first. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm Rebecca Lieberman, 50 Pratt Street in Reading. And I wanted to let you to report that the information.
Lost you. Can you start again? We lost you.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I contacted, can you hear me now? I'll put it right up to my face. Okay. I contacted RMLD on October 6th to report that the information about the Renewable Choice Program on my October bill was out of date. The outdated information said that the program would become available to commercial customers in 2022, when it is now 2024. And it said that there are options for 50%, 75%, or 100% power through the Renewable Choice Program. But all residential customers now get over 50% renewable power through rec retirement. So that 50% tier cannot be right. I want to know, how long have the customers at the 50% rate been overpaying, since RMLD customers now get, I think it's 59% power from renewable sources, and that's been going on for months now. Is there a plan to get refunds to these customers? Megan Wu told me that RMLD would be, quote, evaluating what the higher REC's retirement in 2024 means for our Renewable Choice Program participants in 2025 and beyond, especially those who enrolled for 50%. But that means that these customers will continue to overpay, possibly for several more months. So am I understanding correctly that RMLD plans to continue overcharging these customers until you get around to this evaluation? Shouldn't the overcharging stop immediately and the proper refunds be issued? Megan also promised to try to get the bill information corrected, but now I see that in my newest invoice, there's no information about the Renewable Choice Program at all. As a member of Reading's Climate Advisory Group for Net Zero, I'm really disappointed that RMLD is not doing more to promote the Renewable Choice Program and any other programs that could help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. I found out that out of 33,000 customers, only 100 or so are enrolled in Renewable Choice, and presumably that number is now lower once you remove those at the 50% tier from the program. And are any commercial customers enrolled in this program at all? Massachusetts is going to require Reading to reach net zero in the next few years. So you should be preparing for that and not continue to use an outdated model that requires customers to opt into a poorly advertised program that is not being promoted at all. Please let me know what you're going to do to increase RMLD's overall renewable energy use and participation in your green programs going forward. And you must also immediately stop overcharging your 50% renewable choice customers and issue refunds for any overpayments as soon as possible. Thank you. And I'll send a copy of this to you as well. There's no email to the whole board, right? Do I send it to Erica Morse or?
Send to Erica Morse.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. It's a question that I think maybe we should get an answer to at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
My voice is very loud in here.
You could turn it down. Yeah, we'll turn it down right now.
I mean, I think those concerns would be, I would say something we would also like to know more about. But whether what was just stated is accurate and our people. Also, this issue of contacting the board, it came up the other few weeks ago in a different context. Of that they're unlike with the select board and I think with the school board, there's not something posted on our website where public comment could go to the board, right?
Currently, based on the decision we made 2 years ago, but in the December meeting, we're going to go back and revisit the email program.
Okay.
For a whole bunch of reasons, this being one of them.
Right, okay. I don't know if the board has a sense of like whether we want to be getting similar to how you don't want to, Bill. Okay.
Well, you know, I already have enough emails today already.
Well,
Today I got 75 emails.
okay, I'm just saying,
I mean,
That
Right.
few,
right?
that few.
I mean, that's few.
I mean,
But,
I
you know.
believe, I may be wrong, I believe that select board, which I think is a lot more sort of popular as a public participation board, does have a way that the public can send, and then it's sent to some, select board at ci.reading, and then it would then move to whatever email address so they could have their own separate Gmail and then look at those as they wish, but it's a way it's just a way for the public to have a way to reach us, and we can channel those emails however we want. Go ahead, Rick.
So responding to a number of those points. Yes, I think we should have an email where the public can respond to the board. When an email comes in, that way you can identify it in your email and pull it to a folder so it can get separated from other emails that might come in. That's an easy thing to do. But second, I support Rebecca's comment as a former member of the Climate Advisory Committee, and certainly endorse the goals of Reading Net Zero. Looking at all of the different things Reading wants to do in terms of renewable choice, time of use, EVs, panels, all of these things I think are things that we need to get an update on. I think we haven't had an update on solar panels. We did have an update on incentive programs, but we didn't have solar panels was in that discussion. And EV use is certainly a major driver of energy use. We need to pay attention going forward. So all of those programs, I would expand it beyond just the renewable choice program. But look at solar choices as well as we put panels out there, make sure that that's something everyone can access.
I think that the challenge in Reading is because we're 25% cheaper. Payback period for solar panels on some homes make it uneconomical at this point, and we do not have a reimbursement. Greg's went over that before, and that's the challenge that we have. Lower rates equals lower participation. Will there be a break-even point at some point in the future? I think yes, as energy costs overall go up, but I think right now, it's hard.
But whether it's a payback, that to me, that's a individual choice by the customer.
Yes, that
And
correct.
we certainly want to incentivize that. But as you add fuel cells, not fuel cells, heat pumps and EVs to your home, then that's gonna be a sizable bill, and that in itself will be an incentive for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. People will migrate that way, but right now it's a low
Yeah.
take because it's just not economical. So. But there is one other question about billing that came up. I know there was an issue with the reduced rate that came up some people that usually you pay early, you get a discount,
Prompt payment discount.
prompt payment discount. I heard that window had been not working. Has that been corrected? I heard that there was an issue with the time frame. The prompt payment window was reduced.
It was
Um,
extended because of a mail problem, sending paper bills out.
Oh, that's what it
So
was.
our intention is always to err on the side of extending if there's a problem, never shortening it,
Okay, so it was
extending.
extended due to a
Oh,
mail.
that's
It was non-digital bills. It was. Okay, thank you.
Okay. By the way, is it the sense of the board that we want an email address where the public can contact us and then it gets forwarded to whatever email we choose, or I don't know, do we need it to be more complicated than that?
Erica takes them now,
We
and
only need
distributes them
Yeah.
one or two come in per decade. I think that is very workable at the moment till we get something set up in the future.
Yeah, I'd endorse at least Erica passing along anything relevant, but I'd be open to an email mailing list that if you send it to the board that we
Yeah.
would get.
I mean, if it's only a couple, then why would we need a gatekeeping process or even having you worry about forwarding it? Just have it be RMLD board members group reaches the board and we have it forward to whatever address we want.
Either way,
We need to.
Why don't we there's a couple of security issues relative to that, so why don't we make that a December item on the December
Okay.
agenda?
Yeah, right.
backing up, so if was the answer to that question, backing up one step, about board liaisons.
Yeah.
I do want to comment onto that thing, that I have been working, with Greg and Megan, with the Killam School, building program, and we had a discussion recently about how RMLD can interact with the Killam Building School and provide solar panel options, as a part of the school plan. That went very well, I think. I spoke with, Jenny Hay, for lack of pronouncing her last name, inappropriately or incorrectly. She's works with the architectural team, that's supporting that school project. And she expressed gratitude for having that discussion. And so we received plans from them about what the roof area is and what obstacles might be in the way of panels. We expressed to them that we're definitely interested in the roof, possibly interested in supporting stuff over the parking area, because that would really more than double our capacity there if we could do both. And we sort of talked about the discussion continuing as to whether that's town-owned, us-owned, or something else. Probably us-owned with rental back to the town being the more likely option, but that's not a decision. That's just part of the matrix of things that we are considering. And so that's, I just wanted to support that's went well.
What's the decision point there?
So they are doing a number of, there's a sustainability working group, which will meet next Monday. And they will be going over some of the various sustainability issues, this being one of those on the agenda. Ground source heat pump in various options, with or without air source components. Power. Not sure if we settled on HVAC systems in that discussion or not,
We did.
but, well,
We did. I mean,
yeah, they're considering a couple of different air distribution options, beyond where the, power comes from. That'll be discussed in the working group. All of that will ultimately go into an economic model for a net present value and be sorted out, but it's a little bit of a step-by-step process with the board as to what those options are, what are the benefits, what's the feasibility. I think increasingly we're moving toward getting a good understanding about what all electric building means and where that comes from and how that can be supported. And this is just one of those steps that RMLD will support that with panels and some sort of payback on energy.
Can I make a quick comment? Not being part of that program, But when you start talking about canopies in the parking lot, hopefully you're dealing with the DPW, because plowing, snow removal, snow hauling, a lot of new schools don't have place to put snow. So when you start putting canopies in and then trying to maneuver around them and then haul the snow off the property. So just keep that in mind when they're doing their design, so that that can be effectively done and efficiently done, so you don't lose days in school while they're trying to figure out how to get that out. Because we've talked about it in Wilmington, and that was one of the concerns, was snow removal, and how to get those parking lots emptied.
Yeah, no, good point. And we're nowhere near design.
Yep, no, I just
yeah,
figured
right,
I'd throw it out
yeah.
there, because
Yeah,
as
good
you're
point.
talking design, you want to think of that.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, town meeting last night, there was a presentation about Killam. The schematics didn't show any option for solar at that. You're not at town meeting, right?
I'm not a town meeting member, but that having solar appear on the plans was one of the points of discussion we had with Jenny.
Right.
And I would have been surprised if it had gotten to plans
It was-
in such a short
Sure.
interval of time. But I think we provided a reasonable assurance that panels, we would be supporting a panel effort on the buildings, and that it would be reasonable and feasible and appropriate for the plans to show them.
Yeah, speaking of town meeting, the last night they also approved the Green Community
That's right.
Act
Yes, they do.
last night. Too.
Oh, good.
So approved last night. Town meeting.
Yep, so as that paperwork gets done, just so you all know, the administration of that building would be done through the local electric utility, which in this case is RMLD. We made provisions to be able to bill just the town, just the residents of Red, I shouldn't say residents, all the meters in Reading.
Yep.
And not the rest of them, so that, we've been ready for that for a little while.
Isn't Wilmington a member of Green Communities as
No.
well?
No.
Oh, it's not,
What are
it's
you
not.
thinking?
Okay, I think that was, okay.
What are you guys thinking about that?
We've talked about it more with the new school coming online, or possibly coming online, and we're working with the MSBA, whether we look at joining or not, and what values it will add. We haven't got much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So it's in discussion, but it's not anywhere near moving forward yet.
We were hearing roughly 2x in return for whatever goes in for the 50 cents a month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ballpark. Okay. Well, thank you, Ray. Keep us updated, especially if there's action, like votes and action points that we should know about, or if there's anything we need to do to formalize anything as a board. Maybe not. And of course, Greg, thank you. Good. Email. Okay. All right, charter review update.
You and Don.
The update. Present time, we're on hold at this point. I don't know when the next meeting is going to be at this point. You know, we're not, as a matter of fact, the committee is a little bit in disarray today. Because Bill Brown, who was on the committee, has bowed out completely. The representative from the bylaw committee has bowed out also at this point. And so he's been, actually Jeff Stobel's now been from the bylaw committee's been doing it in place. So I don't know when the next meeting will be. Let me give you a little background here as to the original, when this originally came about. In 2001, the Inspector General came out with a report. Basically, in 2001, the legislature took the position that utilities, the administration should be deregulated. And basically, everybody at that time took the position that we need to run the utility as a business. The Inspector General took a lot of, came out, did a investigation, and said, well, you know, you can't, if you're going to run a business, you're violating this law, you're violating that law, you're violating this law, you're violating that law. At that point, you know, and then they did things like, we went to the conference, and you know, the department hosted a dinner for the commissioners. They subpoenaed the records of that dinner. You know, and then they said, well, that's not legal. You know, those kind of things. You know, I have my own personal feeling about the investigators. 2 investigators showed in my office. Never read me my rights. And I was stupid enough to talk to them. You know? Lesson learned. Basically, the town got all upset about that. And they formed a committee. Because they believed Mr. Rucker, who was the manager at the time, exceeded his authority at this point. And this is where the original, some of these items came in place in that, in terms of what they've got. In terms of legal counsel, he felt he uses the Rubin and Rudden legal counsel to defend the position at that point, and that's why they did that. The financial manager at the time said that he never had access to the board to bring up any concerns, which he denied later on in a meeting at the time. So these are the kind of things that were brought up at that point. You know, I tried to fight it, but you know, the choice was very clear. The choice was either accept this or we're going to have the appointed board. And I think that would wreak havoc to the outside towns to have an appointed board here in Reading of this. And so that's.
You're talking about the origin of.
I'm talking about the origin.
Language that's now disputed in the charter. Or that
Right, but that's put in. I mean, we fought it in 2014, as you can see from the minutes that included here. You know, I felt I was authorized to go and fight this, you know? And so that's why I felt that was my authority to go forward at this point to try to push these items. Now, it failed back at the beginning of time in 2001, it failed in 2020, 2014, and God knows where it's going to go at this point either, at this point. So that's kind of the background of where I am at this point. This is some of the background. Now, Mr. Rucker left the department. He did not leave because of the Inspector General's report. Misconduct surfaced. I have a copy of the report indicating the misconduct at some point. I don't know if the department still has that report at this point. I intend to die with that report at this point. So anyway, so that's really, he did not leave because of the Inspector General's report. He left because of misconduct. Okay.
So that's 22 or 3 or 4 year old history. So what are we doing now?
What I'm doing now is I felt I was authorized to go push for the changes to bring the charter in line with chapter 164. And I based that on, you know, back to 2014. Also, when I was chairman, I remember I brought this up. Nobody seemed to have any objection to me going forward at that time. Only now we seem to have an objection. You know, I felt I was authorized to go forward. It's like bang your head against the wall some days trying to get these things changed, but you know, that's where I'm at this point. So, you know, I mean, in April, I'm disappearing. You know, this charter reform is not going to come to this town meeting. It's going to come to the April town meeting when I'm not around anymore. So at some point, somebody in this board's going to replace me at that point too. So.
Pam's got a question.
What?
Pam's got a question.
Yeah.
Pam needs to be
Okay,
unmuted.
yes, thank you. Thank you for unmuting me. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, so Phil, thanks for the history and the summary. What I understood from some of the documents that were shared and are included in the packet is these changes were proposed 10 years ago, were not accepted by the charter committee, were reviewed again, and town council has said that they do not need to come in line with chapter 164. So, and I don't believe there's been any dispute from the AG's office. So I'm trying to understand what's the motivation behind changing them, because it feels to me like it's been attempted and rejected in the past. Why are we trying to do it again?
So we're trying to bring it in line with 161. Now, legal counsel from the town did at the last meeting stated the fact that the board can choose to go 164. And that's what this board has done. We've gone to follow 164. That's a decision that was made a long time ago. Maybe it was before some of you were here at that point. So that's the decision we made. You know?
But my understanding is that was the decision made a proposal to the Charter Review Committee 10 years ago.
No, that was a decision this board made to follow 164. That's a decision that
When-
this board-
Well, what does following 164 entail versus following something else, which I don't know what we followed before, or what chapter 164 is it just paying
No.
bills?
John, I'll give you background on that.
Yeah, we always follow 164.
But I mean, I don't think the opinions are good. We don't have the benefit of Ivrea Fried's opinion or her ability to sit here and answer questions, but I didn't read it that it was in conflict with 164. It was acceptable.
Well, it's.
Alongside of 164.
I don't agree with, first of all, I do not agree with her opinion. I believe her opinion is wrong, and John can address that too when he gets his.
He's ready to speak when you're.
So maybe we should let John talk at this point.
Well, before we do that, I mean, we've had the two briefs. We have John's brief now that we didn't have it before, but we got it in the last meeting a month ago or whatever that was. And we got Ivrea Fried's memo. We have a subsequent thing from John. So, I mean, what we know is that the changes were proposed 10 years ago, and after we did that vote in 2014, or the then board did it,
You were the chair.
after the then board voted what they voted on, then the town attorney said, no, that's, had a different opinion, which we hadn't seen at the time. And then the
The-
Charter Revision Commission,
The-
hold on,
The town
hold on,
attorney
hold
did
on.
not say no. The town attorney said that the charter commission do what they want.
Okay.
She didn't say no.
okay, that had a
Right.
different opinion from the one that we have been working with, and then the Charter Review Commission made no changes. Then the same thing happened this time without us asking for any intervention. We didn't ask as a board for any additional intervention after the changes were sought and rejected 10 years ago. We asked for nothing. It was raised by you, and Greg hired John Coyle to bring this up again. None of us knew about it.
Okay, no,
Oh,
you
hold
know,
on, hold on.
I did bring this up when I was chair,
We never
and
saw
I
them,
felt I got authorized to go forward.
but
So you cannot say that this board did not
We-
authorize
we-
me to go forward.
we did not see the legal memo from John Coyle that was then brought forward to the Charter Review Commission and understood by them to be our position. Okay, that we didn't, but, okay. In any case, we had then another opinion from the town attorney, again, countering everything John wrote, and then the Charter Review Commission, in its wisdom, did not accept and put in their running line edits any of these changes.
Well, that's still up for debate.
Okay, but so far they haven't, and I think it's just incumbent on us to now make a position of, do we want any changes made at all with something that's been standing for 21 years without challenge by the AGO? That's not being sought by the AGO, that's not being sought by the charter, that's not being sought by us. What if anything are we saying to the Charter Review Commission? Are we asking for changes or are we not? So that's what I think we need to get to. If people have questions for John, we could ask him questions, but we have all these opinions already and we only have John. We don't have the town attorney here. And I don't think we may not ever be able to get her to speak to us. So does anybody want to ask anything?
I got a question. What is the goal there? Like, why did this become a topic? Is there a feeling that the board is losing control of decision-making process? How did this become what it is? I've been on this board for many years.
Yeah.
And I don't remember these discussions.
I know.
And I've been on it since 2013.
You want
But
my
like-
honest opinion here?
Yeah.
My honest opinion is the chair is trying to justify some of his actions. That is what this is all about.
Phil, I think you're out of line there.
Bit out of line, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I would say so.
Express my opinion. It's
Is it-
my opinion.
I mean, I just been following it recently, obviously, because it's become part of the agendas. But I'm just trying to figure out if something's been around for 20 years and now we're trying to change it or not change it. Like, what drove that and why are we where we are? And then what's the benefit for all this time and effort?
None, in my opinion. The board didn't seek changes as a board. So Phil did and Greg hired John Coyle advocated changes.
Gotta go,
That's-
Pam. Pam.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Yeah, I guess ultimately I don't want to relitigate, what happened or what people's motivation is. I think ultimately I'm focused on your question there. What is driving this change? What, legally do we need to change? What do we need to change in, the spirit of how we want the board to operate? And, again, I'm relatively new, so I don't have all the history everybody has, but we have taken a position on this in the past. It has been rejected. There has been nothing that I've seen that either from the town or from the AG's office that says we need to make this change. Notwithstanding, some healthy debate we've had over the last few months, I think this board operates quite effectively. And, my own opinion is it does not feel like there is a need to make a significant change in this manner. And in my opinion, I think, I would propose that we just make a motion to determine if we want to make a change or not. Just to take a stand as a board on which way do we want to go. So I would.
You want to make a motion? Go ahead.
Well, there's
Go ahead.
out of all the changes that are in here, the paragraphs of only in paragraph 7, if you could please put it up.
Which document do you want to see?
The document, it would be page 6 of the Duncan and Allen one is probably the most easiest one to find. What page is that? Page 19 of 178. Items line 7. That's the only thing in there. The municipal light board of the commissioner shall employ the auditor appointed by the town of Reading Audit Committee. We already have an auditor. The auditor comes in, we do not hire the one appointed, but it's basically the only inaccurate statement there. I would say that it could come up because we have an auditor come in every year and audits us. It's not employed by the town of Reading. It's an independent auditor. That's probably the easiest one that could be changed and removed.
What's your view on that, Phil?
Well, right now, the auditor is appointed by the town of Reading Audit Committee. That's what it is now.
So that auditor that we employ comes through
Comes
the
through
town-
the audit committee, town of Reading
Oh,
Audit Committee.
I thought it came from.
No, it does not come, it's
sorry.
actually, it's no longer Melanson anymore. They now merge with somebody else, but Markham, it now comes through the town of Reading Audit Committee. In terms of the changes, I recommend that we do not make that change. I think, the change up above about, appointing the chief accountant and things like that. I think those should be, I don't think those are even needed at this point. They're not even the right wording at this point. Those just don't even exist.
Well, I apologize, that was my ignorance on that fact. I thought we employed the
No.
auditor directly, so
We
that
don't.
auditor does come through.
Yeah.
The town.
We
So
pay the bill.
we pay the bill. Okay,
And the contract is directly with RMLD.
Yeah.
But historically, we've been with the same auditor. And the only reason why that's a challenge right now is that RMLD operates on a calendar year. And the town operates on a fiscal year. And the auditors do the town's books first and then ours. And the reason why that's a problem now is a couple of years back, they prompted us to submit for reimbursement to the tune of about $500,000 from ISO New England for charges about us operating. And so those for the past 2 years, because of the scheduling of the auditors, we barely get those in. And they've extended graciously, but they're not going to extend anymore. So partially what's at the table is the auditor needs to be faster. And again, no complaints.
Market is very slow.
So, but it puts at risk $500,000 of reimbursement to us.
well, if they're too slow, then terminate it. I hate to say it, maybe it costs you $500,000, you're out. See you later. I
It's
mean,
on a
that's
3-year contract.
Did
Well,
you have
you
a
can-
question, Ray? You had your hand up.
Yeah,
That's just the reason why. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I like Pam, being brand new. I don't have any of the 20-year history or the 40-year history that Phil has. And I think this can be viewed far more simply. It's just that it's come up because the town charter review comes up periodically and that's where these questions have come from and why there's been such a gap between 2014 and 2024. It is common in lots of regulations and guidance that state law and local law, federal air pollution law, state air pollution law, air pollution district law has differences in it. We operate under state law, so it doesn't really matter what the charter says. We have to follow 164. That's the law. That's what we'll follow. I think what Phil was trying to address, or the Coyle memo was trying to address, is to what extent do we have to change the charter to match state law? And if we decide, or if the charter committee decides that being consistent with state law should govern, then take out anything that isn't in state law, and that's what they've done. But that's not a requirement.
Sorry, the charter review commission has not made any suggested changes.
Understood. There's a recommendation that memo said that they take out certain things which are inconsistent with state law. It's not a requirement. The town can express its preference, but when push comes to shove, we'll have to follow state law. So that the town authorizes something, it'll be state law that we have to follow. Because because primacy would take priority there, and that would be what we would follow.
So basically what you're saying, so I understand, what the committee Phil's been part of is to bring the two together
Right.
to follow 164.
Right.
So it sounds like that.
I think also we need to let this be a board of commissioner debate
You don't
respectfully.
want, opinion?
I mean, if you guys have an opinion as a cab on what you think should happen to the charter, but
Dave, this has been a normal thing for a while now.
no, I know it
where
has.
You don't like our opinion.
It's not that I don't like
We're
it.
part of the four towns.
No, I know it. It's not that I
And
don't
I'm
like
just-
your
I
opinion.
thought we were sharing, hey, but if you don't want the cab's involvement,
No, we
as
do.
usual, I'll be quiet.
No, it's fine, but I think
I'll be quiet, don't worry.
this is on our agenda for our board. This sometimes.
Because you feel you're being attacked, you
No,
don't
I
want
don't
us
feel,
talking.
I don't feel that way
I
at all.
think the board needs to know, as Wilmington, part of Wilmington, being a representative, one of the two
Go
people.
ahead, then just go ahead. Dennis.
No,
Finish what you
Dave,
said.
this is you trying to run the meetings, and every time you turn around, you try to do this to the CAB. And I've had issue with it before,
Okay.
and you sit there and say things. I thought we were having an open conversation about it, and you're getting defensive, which makes me wonder
Then-
why. But I was asking questions as a representative of Wilmington and this board. And you've gotten defensive.
Then go ahead and.
And
finish
so,
your-
no, you've made it clear that the CAB means nothing to you.
No.
We should sit here and keep quiet, and you got it. That's what you wanted. You got it.
Not what I said, and it's not what I mean.
You
It's-
just-
I'm just
It was,
saying.
you
it's
just said it was a board of commissioners
this
discussion,
one is. Yeah.
and you didn't. I'm asking as a CAB member, which this affects.
Yeah.
What was the reason? And Ray gave a great explanation.
Correct.
And I was asking questions. You got frustrated, and then you wanted to shut me down. We have just as much right to have an opinion. And I can go here as a taxpayer, as a ratepayer, and speak my mind. But you don't want me to do it here, and I'm fine with
It's
that.
not true.
You
You've
just-
made
you
many-
just said it.
Made many great comments.
You just
Dennis.
said it,
You have made many great comments over the.
except
meeting.
on this topic, you didn't
Well,
want me to speak.
This is one where the Board of Commissioners has to either make an opinion to the Charter Commission or not. So I think this one, the scope is a Board of.
But we
Commissioners.
should understand why you're doing it and how it affects the towns.
Right, well, then you should have had it over the past 10 months too. So I think what I've tried to do is bring this process, which has been done without any board of either of our boards involvement for 10 months. I brought it into the board meeting. So I
Okay.
think.
It's part
acknowledge
of my
that-
agenda package, so I thought it was something
Right.
I could talk.
Right, well, just so you know, for 10 months, these memos have been circulating and have been presented to the Charter Commission without our board knowing or your board knowing. It's because I brought it on the agenda that it's being discussed here at all.
But
So that's
The
all.
fact that I'm discussing it shouldn't have put you off to tell me that it
Well,
wasn't
okay.
part for me
Fine.
to speak about.
Then
And that's where I have an issue.
I stand corrected. I apologize for you for saying what I said. Finish what you would like to say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, please do.
I think what Ray was saying,
Okay.
you're trying to blend the two, which is the goal. Right? To
It can
follow
be the-
one stable, if possible.
It can't be goal, and it's fine if the town has a separate opinion on the matter and says the charter differently.
Okay.
It's just whatever then appears in the charter, it should state law change. Then the town has expressed its preference in terms of how the board should interact with the general manager. But state law says the general manager has primacy and the board can guide and suggest things to the general manager and has control over the general manager, but not the operation. And therefore, state law would say we don't interfere in that other than provide guidance to the general manager, is my layman's understanding of what state law is telling us.
And
If
also,
the town would have a desire to have more power than that, that may be their desire to continue to have that opinion. But as far as our functioning, we would have to follow state law. That would be the primacy
also,
guidance.
Dennis, to add to what Ray is saying, there's state law and there's compliance versus not compliance, but then there's just the concept of home rule, like what local authority do we have? Like, and it's a related but separate idea. So it's not merely like we have to exactly comply with state law. So
let me sum up here, so we can move on.
yeah, I'd like to
Okay,
move on. Yeah.
Before we go out in the parking lot, duke it out.
Well, we can pick it out right here. Come on, Dennis. It's all good.
Basically,
Dennis, you make so many great
what-
comments all the
what I'm
time. I have
hearing-
no harm, no foul. Go ahead.
From what I'm hearing, first up, the CAB should be allowed to talk no matter.
Fair. Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
And I notice you always turn this way. You do
Well-
not pay attention to them, which is wrong, which is wrong.
Okay.
And I suggest that you correct that in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that, the board says, let's not make any changes. Let's go away with this. All right? And then, but we're gonna still follow 164, which is what Ray said, because that's what we've adopted to do, is follow
Privacy.
164. Because I've already told the charter commission that we don't follow what they have in here. I've told them that the very first meeting.
I do think that's where we're going is a recommendation
Okay,
that we do
so
not.
here's the whole thing. I want somebody to replace me on the charter commission.
Okay.
Because I'm disappearing in April anyway. This is gonna go into the April town meeting when I'm not even around anymore.
Okay.
So somebody else need to be appointed to that charter commission at this point.
Well, should we do a motion and a vote to what Phil just said? Does anybody, I don't know, it sounded like Pam.
I think it's a sense,
Well,
just a sense.
I think there
I
was
think
a
we got
vote
a
10
sense.
years ago that's been brought up as the guiding philosophy of the board. I think what we say only means anything when we vote and have a motion and a second and a vote, to my way of thinking. Dennis, would you agree with that? The voting is good?
Voting's good.
Thank you. See how much I respect you. And I'm just trying to lighten things up a
Fine.
bit. It's all good. All right. So I thought, Pam, you were on the way to saying something, but maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. But are you still there?
Hands
Got
up.
her hand up. Why is she?
Okay, there we go. Sorry, it's I have to be unmuted by someone else. So yeah, I guess what I was going to recommend is that we take a vote on whether we want to make those changes or not make those changes. And
So do you want to make a motion with respect to what you think the board's recommendation should be to the committee? Like move?
yeah, so I'll move that we don't make those changes. And we decide there were a few kind of like smaller details, which is fine, but I would move that we do not make the changes to stay in line with the recommendation by the town council.
Okay, so move to make no changes in line with the recommendation of the town council.
Second,
Yes.
Okay,
What about 164?
well, that's what, we just have a motion and a second on the floor.
that may conflict with 164, but it's the interest of the town, it's the town's voice.
So we just did a motion and a second to not recommend changes and to go with the town attorney's
So
opinion. Do we have,
here's what the motion should say.
well, we had a motion and a
Well,
second.
let me just state what the motion. The board moves to, get it right. Recognize that there is conflict between the town charter and chapter 164. And that the board recommendation is that, the present charter language stand as is.
But I don't stipulate that there's conflict. I know that there's.
There is
but
conflict,
That's one opinion. We also have the town attorney saying there is no legal issue and there is no legal conflict. And we have the Attorney General's office that has never said there's a legal conflict. I don't like your amendment to the motion to say it's in conflict, as if,
It is in
as if it's an
It
accepted
is in
thing,
conflict.
when it's not accepted by.
We'll just vote on the
Well,
proposed
Let's
amendment.
vote on the thing as read and as seconded. Any
Um,
further discussion?
I support the phrase as written in that we're supporting the town council's interpretation
Yeah.
of the edits without judgment in terms
Right.
of the conflict. And then let the town councils let the lawyers battle it out, but that our motion is in support of the town councils
Yeah, and to recommend no changes.
and recommend the no changes that he's recommending.
Yeah. Okay, are we good? Any more discussion? Dennis? Good. Okay, I'd like you to actually help vote with us on this. I mean, just in the spirit of co-op.
I'm just sitting there enjoying the weather.
We'll do a 6-0 vote or a 6-2 or a 4-3. Are we ready for a vote on the motion and second?
Move the question.
Yes?
We have to do by voice because we got Pam, Ray Porter, aye.
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Aye.
Oh, correct.
Bill?
Present.
Mr. Talbot, aye. So 4-0 and whatever present means. 4-0-1. Dennis, honorary vote. I'm gonna do this every time now, just to break chops.
And I'm saying,
It's back, sorry, so
Yeah.
she's got the right motion. Which motion? They're doing the, not going with the right. First, second one. I think it's
What Pam read.
the first one.
Move to make no changes in line with the town council.
Move that we recommend no changes to the current charter language in line with the town attorney's recommendation. Or opinion, right, Pam? It wasn't a recommendation, it was an opinion. Okay,
I'm okay with that and we voted, so that first part is done. If there's going to be another charter meeting, and we're looking for a replacement, I've dealt with regulatory language as a part of my air pollution career. I would
Okay.
take that on if the board wanted to still have a representative there.
I nominate Ray Porter
Okay.
to replace Phil Pacino on the charter committee.
okay, do we have a second on that? I'll second it. Can I second as chair? I think I can, right?
Second, I thought you could make the motion, we might be able to second.
Okay,
Is Pam still there?
Pam, you still there or are you muted again?
Can you leave her unmuted?
I didn't, she's muted herself.
Sorry, I'm back now. Did somebody second? I will second if nobody did.
Okay, you did, and now we'll take a vote on replacing Phil with Ray on the charter committee. And all in favor?
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Talbot, 5-0. With no abstentions. No,
Let Matt know the change, please.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the
Let me
cab
know who I
recommend.
need to.
Yeah.
Follow up with Phil.
all
Thanks.
good, man.
Okay,
I'm glad I'm retiring in April. I've had enough. I've had enough with the chair.
all right. Alrighty, so on with the next agenda item. Are we doing executive session real quick?
Yeah, we go to executive, talk about. Yeah. Then I come back to open to. Finally, but. And it's cabinet and just joint, the executive is joint.
That suggested motion moved that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board go into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 164, Sections 47D. Exemption from public records and open meeting requirements in certain instances. And under the purpose, number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property relative to property Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, Winfield, and return to regular session for the continuation of regular session.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 164, Section 47D, exemption from public records, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property relative to property in the Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, and Linfield, and return to regular session for the continuation of the regular session.
We have a second. Okay. All in favor of that?
Ms. Pacino, aye?
Talbot, aye. Bob, aye. Ray?
Aye.
Okay.
Pam?
She dropped off.
Pam had a drop off. Okay. So we are now in executive session.